263, what is mental prayer? Most people don't know what that is at all.
We say mental prayer to distinguish it from what we call vocal prayer. Vocal prayer would be a prayer we say aloud. Generally, a prayer formula already written by somebody else, written out by the church or by a saint or by somebody else who is still alive on earth. And we read it aloud. That is vocal with the voice. But there's another prayer. You can call it prayer of the heart. You can call it prayer in the person. Sometimes it is called meditation, although the word meditation is not exact when applied to prayer, because meditation is more a preparation for prayer. Meditation is more exactly a reflection on a sacred text, like Holy Scripture, especially the Gospels. A reflection on some truth of our faith. Thinking about it is meditation. But to become prayer, there must be movement of the will, not only movement of the mind. That's what we meant by saying raising of the heart to God. The heart is our human way, popular way of saying movement of the will. That means then that mental prayer is that prayer of the heart and mind, which is not really formulated in words, but which is loving presence with God, loving attention to God.
So when you meditate, let's just say, how would you meditate? Just give us a practical example. You would take the scriptures, you'd read a passage, then pause and reflect on that.
Yes. The spiritual writers recommend to those striving to love God more about half an hour mental prayer every day. It would be this way. For my mental prayer tomorrow morning, I may read this evening a short passage of the Gospels. I think about it. When I come tomorrow morning before God, if possible, in the chapel where the Blessed Sacrament is, if possible, I say, because sometimes it is not possible. I think of that passage, or I read it again briefly. My thinking about it disposes my soul. That part is meditation. Okay. But prayer, in the strict sense, begins when I now have movements of my will towards God, like I thank God, with or without words. I adore Him. I just love Him. I'm in His presence. I just recall many things He did for me. I think of Christ there present, and He is present in the chapel, and if not, He is present at least by the Gospels. I love Him. I thank Him. I can also ask Him what I need, or I may simply be in His presence with love. That is prayer. It will change according to the individual, according to the day, according to the physical state even of the individual. We cannot lay down hard and fast rules for people. Each person's prayer will be like that person. Those who are nearer to God, their prayer will be of a higher order. Those who are more distant from God, still struggling with mortal sin, their prayer will be of a more elementary type. But the important thing is that it will be personal. Your prayer will be like you, my prayer like me. When a child comes home to the parents after 3 months in college for holidays, that child does not require a book in order to speak to the parents.
Right. And this is how we should be with God. We talk to God with a regular conversation. Now, when does it become contemplation? We go from in the mystical life and a mental prayer, and is in contemplation or the higher state of prayer. God, in meditation, we're working with our will and we're meditating. But as we just relax more and God starts to work on us through contemplation, it's His actions, isn't it?
Yes. as we make progress, there comes a time when God takes over. We call it contemplation. It's not now discursive. It's not now the individual soul that does most of what happens. It's God who directs. But the soul remains present, lovingly present to God. We must not try or hope that we can analyze it all and understand everything that happens that time. But the great saints have lived this life. They have assured us that it is so, and that it is within, not our effort, but it is within God's power to give as He wills, when He wills, and to whom He wills.
So we really, I know St. Teresa of Avila goes through the stages of prayer, and the purgative stage, and then some of those other stages getting into the unitive stage. And this is a whole process of life that we go through in our prayer life if we persevere in it, isn't it?
Yes. And the same person can be in contemplative prayer now, and at another time be at another type of prayer.
Yes.